Good afternoon, traders. This is Christian from Trade Trade Group, and this is your end of day recap for Monday, September 18th. Reminder that there are two football games tonight. I think the first one starts at 7:15. Please correct me on that, but in any event, that's my little sports update for today. I will get to the themes of the day because it was a quiet day. You know, if you want to, you could focus on football and some other things given today's price action. Risk disclaimer in front of you. Everything that we're going through is for information purpose only, not giving any advice or recommendations. Please read the full risk disclaimer there. So let me get to a couple of the themes for the day. And just a reminder, today, Monday, this will be a public video, so anybody could watch this, non-members and so forth. Tomorrow's end of day recap will be for members only. You can get to be a member of Tribeca Trade Group. Notice that we do have a new special, especially for new members. You could use coupon code TTG new. I think that's all caps, and you could get 50% off this. So, less than $40 to get involved and to get the end of day videos. All right, for every day of the week. So what do we got here for the price action? Let's go through the indices. Not much to, not much to really get excited about after Friday's selling on triple witching. S&P was just up slightly for the day. I think the main things to kind of realize here is that we're still in value for the month, which means range bound, sideways, whatever you want to call it. But the price, we just really haven't been doing much this month, other than we are leaning to the downside, and there's been more red days. The up days are few and far between. We had one of those on Thursday, and price reversed that quickly. So it just shows that right now, for the most part, prices just don't want to go higher right now. And you'll notice there, a lot of names, they look decent around midday sometimes. I'll go over a couple of those, and then by the end of the day, they don't look so good anymore. There's just a lot more selling going on right now and taking profits. You also hear about the occasional insider, selling a little bit too. But so here we are, we're below all these moving averages, and so that's definitely weakness, right? I mean, just reminder where we were 2 days ago and how quickly like this is changing, and it's just not consistent price action. But because Thursday on the close, we were above all the short-term moving averages. Today, Friday and today, we're back below. So this weak seasonality that I know everybody is talking about, the Jewish holiday, we're in between the two Jewish holidays. So that's kind of what I'm looking for, or when everybody thinks the same thing, which I think is what I believe what's going on right now. Everybody's expecting weaker price action given the weaker seasonality. So, I try to stay optimistic and look for things that might be changing, just because the market isn't always going to do what everybody thinks, right? Everybody knows that, right? Just because there is seasonality and so forth, that's the side that I err on too. But I will always look for things myself to see if something is changing, because again, the market likes to fool the most amount of people. So that's something that I've learned over time. So did we see any changes today? No. And the breadth you could see on the bottom left of your screen, at one point today, and I can look at the I'll go to the 1 hour chart here. But that'll tell you some things too here on this 1 hour chart. But you could see there was a couple times during the day where breadth was okay, certainly not great. But once we got into the afternoon, and by the way, that's been the case too, is these afternoons, like once you come out of the lunch hour, and I've talked about that in previous videos this week, but once you come out of that lunch hour and you get to the 1 o'clock time frame, there's just more selling pressure than anything else. There really has not been a lot of afternoons where we've seen price rally in the last 2-3 hours of the day. So here's our levels to watch. Notice that price tried to get into the value area, and again, when did it do that? Right around 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. As soon as we get to the 1 o'clock hour, we begin to fade. Started to kind of sit back here, which is not the worst thing, but then of course further downside. So that 45.08 in S&P futures, or if you want a level in SPY, I don't know what that print is down there. That looks odd. Uh, but 40, this is easy, 445. Right, 445 is the level to watch. Again, this was a little bit more, I guess a better signal, hindsight 2020, because we didn't, we just basically touched the bottom of value. What about the Qs? Right, well, let's start with the daily chart. Again, price was looking better Thursday. Friday, big sell off on triple witching, and the Qs finished slightly down on the day. And again, look at how this is even more so with the Qs and the S&P, but look at how coiled these moving averages are. So I think this could potentially, if it's going to break this range, it could have more to fall if we're going to see some volatility this week, because we do have the bearish 80% rule lit back up, right? And support is all the way down at 362. So I would have to say for now, and things could change in a day, but right now this has a bearish look to it. Also, we're sitting here below the value area for the week, and we didn't even get close to that first level of resistance up at 372.76. I would watch where we were 2 weeks ago, those lows. Notice we kind of revisited those for now and bounced, but we're kind of in no man's land. We're sitting here below the value area, but just above those lows, and I would watch for something to kind of give here. Not, and if you don't have a position on, if you're not forcing trades here, that's perfectly fine. I would personally wait for a break of that 368.80 for a possible short. I mentioned this last week too in one of my notes that I sent out. I think I sent this out on Wednesday, talking about I thought that the small caps, because they just have been weaker, I always look for things to basically go long. I go long relative strength, and I go short relative weakness. This has been exhibiting relative weakness, and again, it was down 2/3%. That's, considering SPY was flat, that's decent underperformance. Everybody noticing at this point that this could be a head and shoulders pattern, right? The left shoulder, head, right. 200-day moving average kind of acting as a neckline. I'm watching 191.96. But yeah, I mean, this is a very, very sideways looking chart. Could it break lower? Absolutely. I mean, that's the level to watch, is that 181.96 for a break of the range. And again, sometimes you begin to see that the IWM begin to kind of show its hand first before other indices. Also, what was really weak today was IWC, which is microcaps. This is already broken. So it's broken that range, and it's also below value. Now there is a virgin point of control down here, but those microcaps look weaker. If you notice the weekly chart too, right? If you're looking to really short something here, I think this is a better opportunity if it breaks 103, basically right where it is. If it starts to break that 103 level, then you can maybe look for a move down to 91.40. So interesting that that's kind of revealing itself, the microcap ETF. And you could see the performance of IWC today. That was down 1.2% today. All right. Just if you're looking at the spreadsheet and you're noticing a couple things are off, because energy did outperform again today. Where's energy on here? It was actually up more than this. It's because the sector spider ETFs such as XLE went ex-dividend today. So just a reminder, and that performance doesn't include the dividend for today. So what did XLE do today in terms of the dividend? Oops, XLE. Ex-dividend, again, they changed this. It used to go the same day as triple witching, but you can see it's today, and it was 67 cents. All right, and then the next one will be on, these pay out quarterly. Just like, again, they switched the schedule of them. SPY went ex-div as it normally does back on Friday, but XLE and the other sector ETFs went today. All right, the semis did okay today, but they kind of rallied from from a position of weakness. So you kind of have to be a little bit mindful of that, when you're looking at the charts. So, here was one of your biggest movers from the open today. Again, not overall, but from the open. But again, this is not a position of strength in here. For now, holding the range, which I guess is, a positive. So yes, indices choppy day. Correct that. I've always got spelling mistakes in here. And of course, I've got most of cap locks on here. Oh, there we go. IWM continues to lag. We mentioned that. Semis, energy. Yeah, I mean, crude, we could talk a little bit about crude, but this continues to rally. Even it's rallied past this virgin point of control. It has not stopped. As I mentioned, when price gets to one of these red lines, virgin point of controls, it becomes a battle of the overhead suppliers and new buyers. And the new buyers have pushed this through here. So we're sitting here at 92. Right, there's no problem breaking through that one. Again, if we look at this weekly chart, it looks quite positive. It's done nothing but rally since it's broken into the value area. Energy stocks once again are just, even though that they were up today, they're still not going up as much. Right, here's the XLE ETF. Right, so finding this, rallying off the lows basically for XLE. So not bad, but just not as strong as you would think it would be. Just looks different than crude. However, there are some stocks that are looking decent. Weatherford was one that mentioned. This was in our weekend note. I actually went long this today, and I actually decided to get out of it. It kind of came in today, and I did take some targets in this thing up here. Because I got in to this one like right off the open, and it went back to my cost basis. So I'm like, all right, well, I took a couple targets and trade, and you can see it kind of sold off a little bit. It'll be on my watch list for tomorrow. BKR, I don't know what that green candle is, but I did add to I was holding a position through this, and since it's been going sideways, I've just been holding it. And I actually added some back today in Baker Hughes today. So I'm still overweight energy. I've just been kind of picky with adding to energy stocks because they just don't look like the crude chart. So there just hasn't been as great of performance there. It's been better if you've been long crude futures, you're doing quite well rather than playing it through energy stocks. But that's the situation there. Other stocks that I have on my list that I wanted to go over. Well, let's talk about something different. Gold, specifically, if you look at GLD, the chart's a little bit different. Again, different volume profiles because they do trade different. There's different volume between gold futures and GLD, which trades more frequently during the cash hours, and gold futures are going to trade continuous. But yeah, I mean, you've got to move back above the 200-day moving average. We did see some gold buying today. So GLD saw some short dated calls. You have to kind of think about this week a little bit. What's the main event for this week? Well, it's the Fed. That's the Fed day, and that's on Wednesday. And gold can often really move on Fed days. So I'm kind of thinking that may be the catalyst for why they bought. What I saw a lot was not this week's calls, but next week's calls. So that's could be what they, sometimes you try to put the pieces together. This is an $800,000 trade. These are October 6, 188.50 calls. Notice where that 188.50 is on the chart. Right, it's right up to this virgin point of control, right up to some overhead supply. So somebody's just looking for a quick move, fast move, considering that they're only going out to October 6th in those calls. And then you could see there was also things like, again, far out of the money. This is 190, which is all the way up here. I don't know. They could also be selling some of those. Maybe against that long position, who knows? And then here's some more of these 181 calls. So, it's one of the few times in the last couple months where we've seen some interest in gold. And if you begin to kind of look at some of the gold miners, one of the names that was on our watch list coming into this week was Wheaton Precious Metals, right? Again, not jumping to the upside, but it is now outside of the value area. One name that I always like in this group is FNV. This is Franco-Nevada. I don't think it's doing anything exceptional yet. There's some other names that are doing a little bit better. Not this one. Sorry, I'm thinking of the wrong name. Newmont had a little bit of follow through. Again, it's kind of like well, I shouldn't say kind of like oil, but I'll wait for some names to kind of reveal themselves a little bit in regards to the gold miners. But again, could be because of that Wednesday FOMC that things are going there. There's some other names that did well today. I don't know why, but the language, the software names, right? Duolingo did very well. COUR also did pretty well today. So there's some bright spots there. Workday was a name that, again, a lot of these names, these growth names, if I can bring this name up here and Thinkorswim, they've corrected from the highs, right? So this one, I actually bought some of this today because I like this name. I like that it's kind of checking back. So I got involved in this one. Another one that I'm watching, I didn't do anything today, which is Splunk. Right, super strong earnings report, and it just kept on running for about 2 weeks. So it's in kind of correction mode into this 20-day moving average. So it may not be done going down. So for now, I'm just watching it. Same thing with Lilly. It's another one. You kind of begin to put together more watch lists than actual trades at this point. But this is the first check back to the 20-day moving average in Eli Lilly since since it moved on this earnings report. So interesting, and that name went on my watch list today. Bitcoin, just to kind of keep talking about a couple things that looked a little bit different. But I was looking for a reason why Bitcoin was up so much. I think it was up over 3%. But notice, like, this couldn't hold the gains. Now, it did finish up 1.3%. But again, things just don't want to hold. It's more about fading right now in this market, and again, we'll monitor for changes. Another one that was strong out of the gate today, still up 2.8%. If you're long, you're happy. But let's see if we get some continuation out of this one, right? Real nice, a little bit of a dip here into the 20-day moving average, ultimately could be headed towards 47.82, but certainly doesn't have to do that in a straight line. Just a couple other names if I have them on my radar. Yeah, just two more names. This is another one that was strong early, Google. But again, as long as it's up and it kind of, even though it's moving so slowly, still better than moving, better to be moving slowly to the upside than moving fast to the downside, which is what some stocks are doing. So still looks pretty good. I still have a price target up here at 141.81, but yeah, it's been a pretty slow mover. And last one, this is a transportation name. This is PCAR, PCAR. Looks like it's trying to resolve higher. This was a name I started watching about a week ago. I had a feeling that it was going to stall here on this virgin point of control. It kind of came back, had one of these nasty red bars, came right back, and is trying to break higher. So let's see if it can break this range. Again, some of these names are a little bit sneaky that are, not such big, not some of the big cap names. Speaking of the big cap names, we'll go over two more names for, the popular names. For now, this is holding NVIDIA. This came in here and again, maybe provided a day trade for you. Came down into this. I put this chart out earlier this morning, 424. Someone was mentioning it to me, and it took out that VPOC and bounced up to 4. All the way up to 439. So, I mean, that's a trade. Do I like this chart right now? No, not necessarily. It's sitting, it did hold the bottom of value, but it's sitting below all those moving averages. Another one that, a lot of people have their eyes on is Tesla. Again, just didn't feel like it was a day for Tesla today. Finished down 3.3%. So decent move down. We'll see if this one, maybe it comes in and fills back down to 255 and then may set up for, a small trade again. But again, these names they're hard right now. They're not easy names. To swing trade, maybe a little bit better to day trade. That's it for today's video. Guys, have a great night. See you tomorrow.